PDA Town Hall for today, July 27th, 2025. Once again, we are coming to you at a time of a severe political crisis within the United States. There are certainly major crises around the world, but we are in a phase of our history which I never thought I'd see in my lifetime. I actually can point to some interviews recently done by the Princeton historian and very solid historian of radical American politics, Sean Wilentz, and I really appreciate his talking points. We are not any longer in a constitutional crisis. We are in a phase of constitutional failure, and that's the reality that we face. The courts, with the Supreme Court on top, yes, the lower courts, most of them, the solid majority of the lower courts are doing their jobs and adhering to the Constitution. But with the highest court in the land deciding not to abide by the Constitution, in terms of our checks and balances, and with the Congress dominated by a party that is ceding its authority, constitutional authority, to the executive branch, we're in a phase of constitutional failure. And while we must, in order to defeat the fascists, have a broad coalition, and we must win the 2026 elections, even though the GOP is pushing to pervert the results of those elections at an increasing pace with every passing day. The fact that half the states and enough seats for us to win Congress will be controlled by honest Democratic Secretary of States as opposed to corrupt Republican Secretary of States. We can win and must win the 2026 election. On this town hall, we're going to have as big an announcement as PDA has made during my tenure as executive director. And we're all very excited for you to join us. The 2026 House race is relevant to that announcement, and we are thrilled that that will be taking place during the Zoom call in approximately 12 to 15 minutes. So we're very excited by that. In the second hour of the show, we're going to discuss two things which we haven't featured recently on the town hall or ever on a town hall. Recently, we have not turned our focus onto the tragedy and horror of what's transpiring in Gaza, and of course, our country's own complicity in what's transpiring in Gaza. And even though we, of course, understand we have almost no sway over the current administration, or very little sway, we cannot turn a blind eye to that or not try to be focused upon ending the atrocities there. And then the thing we haven't really addressed, though it was brought up briefly on a previous town hall, is something that has dominated American news the past few weeks, which is a scandal pertaining to what's called the Epstein scandal. And we'll discuss that as well in the second hour. And we have a very special announcement in just a couple minutes. And in a few minutes, we'll toss to Mike Fox with our PDA to-dos, and then to Donna Smith. Now, actually, let's break our usual plan. And Mike, is it okay if we do our PDA to-dos right now, even as people are coming in? I will let people know before we throw to Mike that this is, of course, the weekly Zoom, national Zoom town hall of Progressive Democrats of America. Progressive Democrats of America is an organization that is committed to producing a politics for the people, and to do so recognizing that we are inside a two-party system, for better or for worse, probably for worse as things are within the United States of America. But that's just the reality, folks. We're in a two-party system, and we need to reform the Democratic Party. We fight inside the Democratic Party and outside the Democratic Party. And we even have now what we call an outside, inside, outside strategy, a little bit of an evolved version of the classical outside, inside strategy, in which we move into the party, and the outside is the social movement. So we bring their voices into the party, including the labor movement, into the Democratic Party. We facilitate that when we go inside. But now also, given the nature of the crisis we face, and really the failure of the mainstream of the Democratic Party to defeat what is now a fascist opposition, we need to be more strategic about how we approach the transformation of policy that is advocated for by the Democratic Party. And so we're developing a new approach to the Democratic Party, which though is fully committed still to working inside the Democratic Party and with the Democratic Party to defeat the fascist grand old party, the GOP, the Republican Party, to preserve our constitutional democracy and to be in coordination in a big tent coalition to defeat Trump and MAGA. So we're Progressive Democrats of America. Every week we have these town halls and we have a featured guest. Our featured guest this week is Hartzell Gray. And there's going to be a big announcement around that in about 10 minutes. And we also address other subjects of the day. In the second hour, as we speak about Gaza and Epstein, we're going to open up the whole conversation to the whole audience. And we'll have a PDA town hall conversation in the second hour around those things. And finally, when we have our featured guest on, we do shut the chat down because we want to really respect the featured guests. And we'll be doing that again in about 10 minutes when Hartzell is introduced. With that, Mike Fox, what's up for our PDA to-dos? After Mike does that, we're going to bring forward Susie Shannon with an announcement and a request for people to about the Poverty Council, and then go to Donna Smith for her thoughts for the week, and then to Hartzell, all in 10 minutes. Mike Fox, what are our PDA to-dos?
Thank you, Alan. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hot dog. All right. First and foremost, gang, to-do number one, as it is every week here at 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific, that is always revel in the fact that you're surrounded by people who get it. Here. We're in very tough times. It's easy for us to all despair. Well, here's the spot. You can show up every Sunday and you're surrounded by people who not only understand what's going on, but are likewise committed to changing what's going on. So I want to thank everyone who is here. You make me a healthier person just by virtue of the fact that you are here. Solidarity all. To-do number two, take notes, literally. This is not only an informational kind of call, but it's also an organizing call. So there are going to be things that we want everybody to be jumping on board with so that we are the force that can get the job done, bottom line. So from an actual specific to-dos to start off with, we'll get to more of these on the back end, but the quick version is there's time and there's treasure. From a time standpoint, pile on our volunteer link that's going to be tossed in the chat here. If you don't see it, it's pdamerica.org/volunteer. Jump in for an hour with us. We will make sure that the time that you invest will be productive. I promise you. We put an extra special push on for phone bankers, because that's one of the most powerful ways that we as a national group all over the country can pile on in a specific state to maximize our total clout in the process, be it an election, be it trying to get folks out to a specific rally, specific event, that sort of thing. You're talking to fellow PDA folk. It's an easy call. All we're looking for is an hour. So please, let's make that happen. We've got a goal of 25 new phoners, first timers. I know we got a lot of folks who've been with us for a long time. Folks who are already phone banking, type in the chat. Let folks know that you do and invite them to do it as well. Help us find 25 more people, okay? The second to do is this coming Wednesday, we're rebooting our congressional liaison program. I know that Alan will be talking about that in a little bit, but the Reader's Digest version is where you do outreach to your local congressional office and provide a letter that's already written. It's about a piece of legislation that's already set up. It's easy stuff. But bottom line, we need every single congressional district in the country covered. So we'll be tossing into the chat the link to sign up for that kickoff meeting, reboot meeting. It's something we've been doing for years, but this is a big doings on Wednesday, 9 o'clock, okay? And if you don't see that link, contact info@pdamerica.org, and we'll make sure that you get that. Lastly, treasure. There's time, there's treasure. From a treasure standpoint, our goal is 100% solidarity, gang. We aren't, if you can make a large donation, please do. But in our group, virtually everybody here, I'm real confident we don't have 5 billionaires on this call right now. So bottom line, give what you can. And even if it's only $1, please do. Because what we're looking for is the solidarity. Show not only support for the candidates, the work that we're doing, but I would argue even most importantly, show solidarity with your fellow PDA activists, those folks who are doing the hard work, those folks who are making the commitment of tossing in $5 a month, that kind of thing. Show solidarity with them. Okay. So with that in mind, we'll be back to take a look at where we're at on our goals at the top of the hour. Back to you, Alan.
Right. And we're going to be making, you might want to hold off on your initial contribution today for a few minutes, but we're going to really be hoping everybody chips in following a huge announcement upcoming. But Susie Shannon, can we make Susie a co-host and unmute Susie so that Susie, yep. And Susie Shannon, look, is the founder of the DNC Poverty Council. And this is something that I've supported from the moment I ever heard of it. And Susie is going to be here to ask all of us to sign up to follow the DNC Poverty Council. This is hugely, hugely, hugely important work. This is us again on the inside of the Democratic Party. And now all of us on the outside of the Democratic Party who may be on this call right now can assist by following the Poverty Council, supporting Susie's work as the chair, continual chair, and the founder of the DNC Poverty Council. What people want, as we see right now, is tackling the issues of affordability. And this is the kind of focus that the DNC Poverty Council has, almost like no other body in the entire Democratic National Committee or the National Democratic Party. Susie's work is absolutely speaks to this moment we are in terms of domestic politics in the United States. Susie Shannon, I am always honored to have you join us on one of our town halls. Welcome, Susie.
Thank you so much. I want to thank all of the PDA members and PDA for their continued support in helping to create the Poverty Council, and also the continued support throughout the years for all of our work and all of their help. So we have to have members sign up before August 15th. We also have elections that are coming up at the DNC meeting, which is in Minneapolis. So if you live in Minneapolis or even want to drive in from Chicago or anywhere, we'll be meeting on Monday, August 25th at the Hilton. But right now, we just need our members to sign up by August 15th. And so I'm hoping we have grown our council to about 500 members. I would love for anyone that's on this call to sign up again if you haven't signed up yet, or even if you've signed up in the past, we need you to sign up again. And I will put the link actually in the chat so that you're able to do that. Anyone who has lived experience with poverty or being low income, being on public assistance, experiencing hunger issues or homeless issues, we'd like to know that because we have a speakers bureau and a way for people to go out into the community and help us. Yeah, so we would love for you to be part of the Zoom meetings that we have. And I know that a lot of you have been on those Zoom meetings. And so I will put that in the chat so that you can sign up. Anyone who's a member of PDA would be eligible to sign up because you guys are working to help low-income communities. And again, I just really appreciate it if you would support our council, sign up to be a member. We'll keep you apprised of things that are coming up, like, budget cuts recently, the effects of Medicaid, how people can advocate in their state to stop cuts or to make sure that there's some backfill for that. So there's a lot of things going on and we desperately, desperately need help. Our council was created in order to give a voice to people who are low income and to empower low income communities. I always say low income communities don't have lobbyists and they don't have a union. They have the Democratic Party. Even if you are part of a nonprofit, you're appealing to Democrats to do the right thing. So we desperately need help. We need a large membership to show that there is support for this in the community. We need people from every state and territory. And again, I just really so appreciate the support of PDA and also for supporting me for my run for DNC member, which I won 2 weeks ago. Thank you. I'll put that in the chat.
Thank you. And yes, please put it in the chat as soon as possible because the chat's going to be shut down in just a couple minutes. Donna Smith, your thoughts for this week. And then immediately after that, I'll introduce Hartzell Gray with a huge announcement. Donna, welcome.
Thank you very much, Alan. And I'll be as brief as I can because I know we want to get on to Hartzell. I do know, and I want to take a moment. I don't think any of us can separate our hearts and our minds from what, at least I can't for sure, for what's going on in Gaza. Yesterday I said to my husband that I thought when we all learned about and watched all the things about the Holocaust and about what happened, that the world said collectively, we will never let this happen again. And not only are we letting it happen, we are part of it happening right now in Gaza, which is so totally unacceptable to me, but it's also unacceptable to me to do nothing, for me to do nothing. I know that I may not be able to alone change the tide, but I intend to call and write every representative who represents Colorado, not only mine, but both senators, Senator Bennett and Senator Hickenlooper, and every public official that cares about this issue should be involved with it, and everyone should care about it. The world should be saying, we're not going to let it happen again. It is happening, and we want it to stop. I also know that I'll shift gears a little bit because I know PDA is fighting on this issue, and we always should fight on the issues of war and peace. And certainly watching starving children is something that's intolerable for me, and I think for many of us. This week, I've been part of celebrating the Americans with Disabilities Act. It is 35 years old this year. And here in Denver, we had a couple of special events. One was held at the Denver Museum of Nature and Science, was celebrating one of the endorsed candidates for city council here, who was given an award for her work on disability rights. And Denver was one of the places where there was a group of 19 disabled people who laid down in front of RTD buses and really fought the issue of access to transportation. And one of the things I felt in that room of disability activists was, and I challenge you to do this sometime, wow, do you get a different perspective on how blessed you may be physically, or how blessed you may be in any number of ways, and how much power you probably have to do things that's being yet unrealized in comparison to people who have significant barriers to systems and problems. So I think it lifted all of us to be there. But it also was a warning cry from the people in the room about Medicaid and about what's happening to the program. Then yesterday, I ran into our state coordinator here and Susan Gilbert. Interestingly, we went down to an event called the Mile High Table. There were Mile Long Table, 5,280 people gathered together to eat lunch together on the campus, the Auraria campus in Denver. And we were at long tables, and all we were there for was to be in community and talk to one another and to find common ground. And I promise, as I listened to those people and listened to people in the group, I thought, there's more going on that's right in this society than we know. The people who are kind of, we used to call it the silent majority. I think that was way back in Nixon's time. We got to go way back for that. I don't know. But in any case, I don't think it's a silence right now, but I think there are a majority of us who are truly worried about what's going on, truly want to pull together in a meaningful way and change it. And I think PDA provides a great vehicle for doing that. Watch for the next episode for Positively Progressive. Can't wait to hear what Hartzell's gonna announce, but I have a little inkling. I've been around this for a little while. So anyway, back to you, Alan.
Oh my, just trying to get the thumbs up on the Preach Donna from Jim Langford, but I can't get that in my chat. Thank you, Donna. Preach it. That's beautiful. And with that, I think the simplest thing for me to do next is say that I've just been honored to work with Hartzell Gray now for a few years, and with the formation, building upon the great work of Donna Smith, of the reformation of the Young Progressive Democrats of America. We have a great steering committee, and the steering committee chose as its national coordinator Hartzell Gray. So I am very proud to introduce my friend and a source of true inspiration, Hartzell Gray, who has a big announcement for us.
My brother, Alan Minsky. Hello, my friend. Yeah, so my name is Hartzell Gray, my friends. It has been, gosh, how long we've been doing this together now? Since 2020, what, two?
Yeah, just
21,
about, because
22?
I was on your radio show with Harvey before that, and then you came in the fold. It's been great.
Yeah. And to be able in these few years to build power with our community, it's not lost on me even having this opportunity to speak with our folks who have become my friends. This is incredible because the legacy of PDA, when we think about even just what we've done in the last few weeks with now Representative-elect Grijalva, and what we have done throughout our history, the first major org to draft Bernie Sanders for president in 2015. That's PDA. PDA was the group who in 2004 said, we don't believe in going to war against Iraq. That is the legacy of PDA. And so it's not lost on me that even being able to speak every week that I have the honor to, and to set up events like Progressive Central, which is single-handedly the biggest and best progressive organization event that's ever happened in the DNC. We did that together. And so I think in this moment requires a people who are not only fired up, who have a vision, right? Because our folks are angry. The rent is too damn high, in my district in Kansas City. This is some of the highest we've ever had for evictions, right? Trump's big, brutal betrayal, right? Just kicked 17 million of our brothers and sisters off of healthcare. We are no longer in the mode of just asking for stuff on the margin, right? In fact, we need somebody who comes from a movement, I think, because we're angry and we're sad and our folks have been sentenced to death. It's true. And it's one thing to keep talking about that, but it's another thing to have a vision to propel us forward. And so with that, this vision is not mine. This is a vision that is rooted in our people and a 21st century economic bill of rights. And this is a vision that I hope is going to take me to Congress, because today on this town hall, I'm announcing for the first time that I am running for Congress in the Missouri 5th, which takes care of Kansas City. We're talking Lee Summit, Blue Springs, Raytown, Greenwood, a little bit of North Kansas City. I believe that it is time for the heartland to be the heartbeat of this country. And what gets me so excited about having this opportunity to do it with you and with us is that we've got the answers. Because we come from a history. That's what I think so much of what this race is going to be, is to activate our folks to realize that we come from a radical progressive tradition. Like those of us, we say in my organizing with KC Tenants, it's my tenant union, and I don't speak on behalf of my union. I speak as someone who has organized with the power of the people, right? And I've gotten a chance to learn so much from my union. There's power in a union, absolutely, right? And so when we have Trump kicking 17 million of our brothers and sisters off of healthcare, right? The establishment status quo that you've heard is, well, let's get back in there in 26 and let's make sure we strengthen Obamacare. And there's a lot to be very thankful for with Obamacare. There's a lot that our folks fought for Obamacare, and it wasn't enough. In fact, we were owed more, but it is what it is, right? But it's not enough, and we know it's not enough. So in this moment, when we keep having people say, what are we going to tell our folks about? How do we get people in our tent? Well, our tent is not saying that 17 million folks who no longer have health care might be able to pay for it if we get back to Obamacare with some subsidies here and there, but let's mean test. No, the answer is universal health care. The answer is Medicare for all. And you have not heard anyone say that in Missouri's 5th District. In Trump's brutal bill, Pell Grants, student loans, it just got a lot harder.
Right.
Folks who could be some of our most brilliant now will never get a chance to go to any sort of higher education, right? And that was gutted in Trump's big bill. So what would our establishment Democrats say? What would the neoliberal wing of the party say? Well, let's make sure that we can get in there and let's help some folks here who need some help. And then let's maybe take care of folks who've paid this amount of money on student. No, the answer is wiping student debt and making college and trade schools tuition free. Now, we know that because we're progressives, right? This is what we do. To be a progressive is to be a patriot. And what I am saying is time for us to get our patriot blowhorn and to yell and scream and use it as a bully pulpit. My district, brothers and sisters, is a D+12. So what that means is, long story short, a Democrat ain't going nowhere. That's supposed to be our seat in a ruby red state that is Missouri. The two beacons of blue light should come from Kansas City's Missouri 5th District and also on the St. Louis side. And at one point, we had a real champion on the eastern side of the state with Cori Bush, who I hope to work with in this campaign. And she was replaced by an APAC plant. We have on my side of the state a good man, but who I believe represents an ideology that was then, but it's not now. You know, I am a young person, but I was saying this a few weeks ago with my friends, some of our elders. You know, I celebrate in your wins just as much as I want you to celebrate in mine. And that's not taking anything away from you. In fact, I want to enhance that because that's what we are as progressives, is that we all have our batons and then we pass it and pay it forward, right? And I think this moment requires someone who's going to stand up in the face of injustice, stand up in the face of our party if need be, but most importantly right now, we have to stand up against fascism. And how do we fight fascism? We know it on this call because we are FDR Democrats on this call.
Yes.
Necessitous folks are not free. If we take care and make whole our folks, you'd be shocked how much civic participation. I mean, what's the beautiful quote? It's a tragic quote, also from FDR. You know, people will give up their liberty so they can have a meal or something to eat. You know, we've got kids in my district, Alan, in the Missouri 5th who are literally going into debt. These are children who are going into debt because they have to take out a loan to get lunch. So here's what we're going to do, especially in the face of 20% of SNAP being cut in Trump's brutal bill. We push for universal pre-K. We push for a living wage so that those parents can afford to. You want to talk about pro-life? Let's make sure our folks are made whole to take care of those little lives or the older lives for folks who are taking care of their elders or their whoever's, because we all are each other's keepers. But how can I expect to take care and keep my family if I can't even keep my own roof? And what I am trying to say is that for too long, we have not been allowed to say that that mess ain't right. And what I am saying is it's not right and that we're going to do something about it. So when I say that my brothers and sisters need a roof, what am I going to say? I'm not going to post a press release that tells you how bad things are. I know that more than half of people in my district are paying over 50% of their wages in rents. I know that. I know that this was some of the highest evictions in my district ever. I understand that we had 2 of our buildings go on rent strike, powered to the people and our tenant union. You know, so what are we going to say? I don't need a press release to tell me how bad things are. Tell me you're going to propose repealing the Faircloth Amendment that gutted social housing. And that happened under President Clinton.
Right.
You know, that was, you hear what I'm saying, though? Like, we take hold of our history to make more history, right? And how we view power, how we take power, how we view it, how we use it, I'm not a back foot Democrat. You get political capital to spend it and you get more. And you know how you get more? You propose a vision that includes passing the PRO Act so that everybody in my district has the strongest union protections. And we get closer and closer to card check. You know what I mean? You know, we what we do is, you know, in this big brutal bill, gutted climate action. Some of the most positive stuff of the Biden administration was the IRA, correct?
Right.
And we just gutted all that. So what is the answer? It's not trying to manipulate the science and say that we can maybe make 1.5 Celsius work. No, that 1 or 2 percentage points is going to be whether or not the global south is underwater. So what do? We don't say let's work with fossil fuels. We say we need a Green New Deal. I mean, like, this is not difficult because those closest to the problem aren't just closest to the solution. What I'm trying to say is we are the solution. We always have been, and we got us. You know, FDR's Solicitor General, who I quote so much, thanks to my brother, Harvey J. K., Professor K., you know, we too are founders, said Robert H. Jackson, Solicitor General of FDR. We too are founders. We too are makers of a nation. I mean, that's not a static thing, you know? Every day we are founders. We are the Washingtons and the Lincolns and the Frederick Douglasses of our time, and the Fannie Lou Hamers of our time. We are those patriots. We are those progressives. And I think it's time for us to cook. Put us in there. And so that's why I'm running. I'm running because I'm mad, but I'm running because mad isn't enough. Being angry isn't enough. And by the way, there's nothing inherently bad with those emotions. Don't let anybody tell you that. But it's the yes and. You know, I come from radio, a little bit of a stage guy. It's a little bit of ad lib. It's yes and. 2 things are true. It sucks, but we got us. And I don't think those things are mutually exclusive. And so I want to walk with you and us. This is a campaign that walks with the people. I'm not asking you to vote for me or give me money so I can do a thing for you. I don't know you yet. I can't wait to get to know you. But how can you? That's just so disingenuous. But what I can say for someone who I maybe even just met is that, yeah, I can't wait to get to know you. What is it that you're talking about? What is it in your life that we need to fix or that we need to make better? All right, let me walk with you. All right, hey, the door is open. This is our table. This is our seat. It doesn't belong to anybody but us, right? Because we got us. And we deserve not just the best, but we deserve the most. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise. So that's why I'm running. I'm running because the moment requires what we already know. We know that peace through strength is an oxymoron. Peace through peace is how you get peace. We just talked about the atrocities we've seen in this genocide in Gaza. You know, I have been so proud to stand with PDA, one of the first major organizations who called for a permanent ceasefire and the end of the occupation and an arms embargo. Stood 10 toes down. Again, like, I am honored just to be on this call, but also the responsibility that you have given me. It is accountability. It is an honor. It's co-governance. I don't think people understand what co-governance means because I don't think our electeds want you to know. The whole point is that we do this together. Like, I don't need to be an expert in everything because you are. So if you got climate policy, let's write it together. Insert whatever. So that's where I'm at. And I wouldn't be running if I wasn't informed by our people. And this moment, you need to come from a movement. And PDA, we have made so many moments and turned them into movements. And so what I'm asking, not just you all today, but I'm asking my folks in Missouri 5th, I'm asking anyone who understands that history is calling. And we've done a lot of history together. And if it's okay with you, let's take hold of that history and let's make a little bit more. So
Well, Hartzell,
again, my name is Hartzell Gray. I love and I appreciate you. And oh, can I give you one last story? Because this is actually from the campaign trail, which is a hilarious sentence for me to say now. But I got some stories from the trail. I was talking to a friend of mine making calls last week. And this is, I think, a good a wrap up of why I'm running. And so I talked to this gentleman in my district, right? And I introduce myself. I say I'm running for Congress, and you're in our district, And he says, "Hey, I'm a Democrat. Send me all your stuff. No big deal. But also, hey, so I'm a blind person." And he said, "You can send me all your stuff, but I mean, chances are I'm not going to get it anyway. But hey, you circle back." And I said, "Well, hold on," because we could very much tell I don't think he was wanting to have this conversation, or maybe any conversation in that moment. But I said, "Hey, sir, first off, thank you for picking up, and I don't want to take too much of your time, but actually, for me, can I just ask you, like, what is it that I can do in this campaign? This is, aside from me asking you for a donation, I'm just asking you, sir, as I put together my campaign, what can we do for you? Like, this is clearly a blind spot for me, sir. So can you tell me what it is I can do for you, or what it is that I can help amplify?" And we ended up talking about different programs and different things you can utilize as far as emails and I learned so much. And as I'm hearing him talk about it, I'm realizing, oh, this man has not been heard from, because I'm continuing this conversation that was supposed to maybe be a couple minutes, and now I'm on minute 15. And not only are we talking about resources of how to be more accessible to the different communities, well, now I'm asking, well, hold on, you clearly know what you're talking about. Has Representative Cleaver, has he responded to do any of this? And he says, no, haven't even gotten a response. And I said, well, that's unacceptable. And he followed up. He said, well, not only that, I've got a committee that is only a few votes shy from getting passed. And it's a disability commission. It's a committee, something like that. And he has told me that he has called, he has pushed, he's gotten nothing. And the problem with that, again, it's one thing to fight for something and lose. Hey, win, lose, or draw, we organize, we evaluate, we get back in the game. But to be not heard and to know that your representation isn't even making an effort, that's unacceptable. So that's why I'm running. Because you could insert that man I met, you could insert anything that could have been said, from reproductive rights to climate, to insert it all. Because again, we deserve it all. And we deserve all of our needs to be met. So that's why I'm running.
Well, look, I got to say a few things from so much of what you said. First of all, officially, I have to announce that in a special executive decision from the executive director, initiated by the executive director, and then confirmed by the National Elections Team, Progressive Democrats of America has officially endorsed Hartzell Gray for Congress, Missouri's 5th district. And because of that, we have available to everybody. Now, we're going to work on this campaign. Probably, if the executive director has a balance of influence on what transpires, we will work on this campaign more than any campaign that we've ever worked on. And by the way, the effort that was just made to have Adelita Grijalva win her primary was exemplary and hard to imagine surpassing. But I want to even get there, and as always, improve, and always improve, and always improve. And we're going to do that at PDA for this campaign. Now, I want to say this too about Hartzell Gray. I've worked closely with Hartzell Gray for a while, and I can tell you, whether it's Greg Casar, Delia Ramirez, Summer Lee, some of the younger members of Congress, Maxwell Alejandro Frost, it takes a lot of energy to do those jobs well. And I know of no person who brings that quality more to the prospective job than Hartzell Gray. And his sincerity and his caring for people is profound. So with that, I don't want to waste any time, but to, again, let people know that in the chat right now, I am going to make it, and everybody can see it, the way that people can donate money. And it is going to be a split donation unless you go in and change the adjustments. 50% for PDA and 50% for Hartzell Gray. And I can promise you that probably more than any of the money we ever raise on splits that we do throughout Hartzell's campaign will be spent by PDA to support Hartzell's campaign. We're going to really build up a campaign here to support Hartzell like no other. So please, folks, today, I'd like to see us make a goal of a few $1,000s for each end of the split. So let's everybody give. I'm going to give $100 right now. So I'm going to give $50 to the organization I work for and $50 to the Hartzell Gray campaign. And I want to see as many people match that as possible. And now, if you can't afford $100 this week, consider giving less. But if you can, and look, we have an upper limit on how much money that I can take as executive director for PDA for my job. And it is substantially lower than any other comparable organization in the country, folks. And so I am not the wealthiest person on this call. So there are people here who can give more money to Hartzell Gray right now through this split and help PDA's efforts to elect Hartzell and Hartzell's campaign itself. So right there, give what you can. And what we're going to do now through the great Mike Fowler is when Mike is ready to go, we're going to see the first campaign video from the Hartzell Gray campaign. This is a world premiere, folks. And Mike, just let us know when you're able to share your screen and get that ready.
Alan, you're a radio man. You got to sell that world premiere better than that, brother. Come on, radio man.
Well, 75. Yeah, no, I know. Look, when Hartzell was just speaking, he mentioned our expertise, Donna Smith, Alan Minsky, the PDA team. We do add up to being an organization that has experts pretty much 360 degrees around, but never will anybody have the same expertise on Missouri's 5th District than someone is politically committed, a lead member of the very important tenants' rights organization in Kansas City than Hartzell Gray has. So for that community, we follow Hartzell and we follow his lead and his sincerity. Look, I'm from St. Louis. He's from Kansas City. Bit of a cross-state rivalry, wouldn't you say, Hartzell? Okay.
Oh, just say I-70 series never ended. 85 never ended, brother.
Please don't mention that now. That's a sore spot. Okay, because there's the umpire's call on that World Series. It still tortures me to this moment. But folks, I feel so much love for the community of Missouri's 5th District through my work with Hartzell, through his eyes, because his compassion and love for the community, and of course, you take that community. Is there wealth that can be distributed throughout it? Yes. Is it equally distributed? No. Is there incredible race and class and balance that's apparent in Missouri's 5th? And I can think of no other person in 2025 and 2026 to represent that district better than Hartzell Gray. And here now, world premiere, the first video from the Hartzell Gray campaign when Mike Fowler has it queued up. Mike, are we ready to go?
I am ready when you are. And by the way, St. Louis here is represented 2-1 to Kansas City.
Mike's from your city, just like me. There we go. Take it away, Mike.
As my mother would say, God willing, we're ready to go here.
This would be my great-grandmother's home. It was more than just wood and brick. It was front porch wisdom.
Oh, it's not running very well.
What love and community meant. 4 generations were rooted right here, and now it's gone. My community, like so many, wasn't abandoned by accident. They were targeted, and they were left behind on purpose. But you see, Kansas City has never waited for permission to fight back. We organized in the same neighborhoods where they redlined. We built resistance from church basements to jazz halls. I'm running for Congress because we deserve better. Housing and health care, they are human rights, not a privilege. And peace should start from home and should guide us abroad. My friends, we are building a movement powered by the working class, our neighbors, organizers, truth tellers, not corporate PACs, not real estate money. I'm Hartzell, and Kansas City raised me, and I believe that we will win.
If I may, what we'll do now is we'll bring up Hanya Jodat in about 5 to 7 minutes. And she is, of course, a PDA sister. And she and I are going to talk more about Hartzell. First of all, I want to actually give Donna Smith an opportunity to chime in here, fellow Midwesterner, a little bit west of the Midwest now in Denver. but
Chicago
called the
didn't always
Mountain
like
West. But you're a Midwesterner.
Chicago always looked at all that stuff downstate like, oh, Hartzell, wow. This is wonderful news. Congratulations. I do want to I ask you, because Cleaver's been there a long time and I have kind of a history with him that's not that interesting, but I'm so happy you're running, believe me. So happy you're running. It's time. It's time not only for the torch to be passed, but he's not carrying a torch anymore. For me, what is the most tragic in the establishment Dems is when they're lazy. They're just lazy. They're not taking on issues. And I'll give you one right now that would impact a lot of people in your district and a lot of people all over the country. And John Conyers was going to work on it a long time ago. When you are approved for Social Security disability, there is a 2-year waiting period before you qualify for Medicare. 2 years. So unless you are unable to have any financial resources and can qualify for Medicaid, you are out of luck. So people like my husband, who became disabled and was still married to me with an income, a modest working class income, 2 years waiting for Medicare, 2 years. It is a ridiculous kind of thing. I suppose it's a logarithm that's worked out. Hey, at 2 years, some of them will die. I think it's not good. So anyway, we've got so much work to do on healthcare, and I think Hartzell, your heart is in the right place. I'd like to offer myself as a resource if you're ever wanting more on Medicare for All and what's happening to moms and kids and grandmas and all the people who are very quiet right now, but also very scared. So congrats, Hartzell. You're going to do it. You're going to do it, but it's going to be a lot of work.
We're going to do it. Hey, we are going to do it. I love you, Donna. You know that. And just, again, to be on the call with, you all are too modest, because when the books are written about this moment, about how the progressive wing of the party took it back over and we reshaped America, I think there's going to be a lot of folks on this call who are going to get shout outs in those history books. And Donna Smith, you were absolutely one of those people. And, you talk about Medicare for all or universal health care. One of the big things about why it is in our platform, Hanya, we've talked about this many times, Alan, all of us, I'm a suicide survivor, right? And so we talk a lot about ending the stigma. And we have gotten so much better. We need to acknowledge that, right? We have very much, it's easier to say it. It's okay to not be okay. That phrase, I think, is pretty well known now. And even a few years ago, it was not, or it wasn't encouraged to say in public. But here's the thing, to talk about how much you want to get better, but not being able to afford to get better, I mean, that's not a real serious conversation, then, is it? So when I talk about universal health care, I'm not just talking about being able to get a checkup or get a broken bone fix. I'm also meaning therapy. I'm also meaning our prescription drugs that, once you get that therapy, also let's have some other things with the right, doctor's guidance and all. It's a blend. And so what we're going to do is we're going to negotiate those prescription drugs. Right now there's a handful that we've negotiated. Well, why do we stop there? That's silly. Let's keep going. In COVID, we cut childhood poverty by nearly half. Well, two things. Why didn't we just finish the job? And number two, we let it expire? Are you kidding? Where's the fight for that? And it's healthcare, Donna, this goes for, when we say that trans lives matter, we want to be 10 toes down with our trans brothers and sisters. Well, guess what? I also then believe that they deserve gender affirming care, right? I mean, that's what it means to really be an ally. Well, I want to make sure that gender affirming care is also free because you have universal health care. So when people talk about identity politics, that's a roadmap. It's not something to be demeaned. It's like, hold on, we have people who don't feel like they're being heard, like the person I talked to on that call. So if I can make his life better by making sure things are more accessible for him, it will be more accessible for all of us. And I don't want to
Hartzell,
means
you
test it. I
know-
want all of it for all of us. I'm sorry. I'm over here
Hartzell, you
preaching. I'm
know,
sorry.
there's a lot of people just like that gentleman that you talked to, right?
Absolutely.
There's a lot of people in your district who need to be heard, And I think your listening ability will be one of the things that will carry you a long way, provided you keep yourself grounded, right? In what you talk about, your story is what will ground you to those people. So please don't ever lose sight of that. Hang on tight to it, because as you go up this ladder in politics, a lot of people lose sight of where they were from, and I don't think you will do that. Thanks,
Hold me
Hartzell.
accountable. Hold me accountable. That's how we co-govern. You means you got to hold me accountable.
Yeah.
Well, and I'll say too, sorry, Donna, go ahead. Go ahead.
No,
Donna.
go for it. Go for it.
Well, just so people don't know, by the way, Hartzell Gray has a significant profile in Metro Kansas City. The host of a morning drive time radio show for many years. He also, until recently, was the voice of the very popular Major League Soccer team in Kansas City. And he's just somebody who's known from public events, high-profile public events across Kansas City. I once was just landing at Kansas City Airport, and I mentioned I had a friend who worked over at the MLS team, and the person who was turning a car back in at the next desk of the rent-a-car says, I know Hartzell Gray. I love Hartzell Gray. So this is a guy who has a real profile in Kansas City. And that's important for the audience to understand. This is going to be a very, very competitive race. I'm sure that in terms of the incumbent, who is, I understand, perhaps already been considering his political future, who's been in Congress for 20 years, has not been the highest profile leader on any recent high profile congressional legislative efforts. And then someone as dynamic and as popular in Metro Kansas City as Hartzell Gray has a real strong chance here. And with that, let me introduce Hanya Jodat. And I know that time is tight for a candidate already, but we want to really make sure that every one of the people on the call here, 343 people right here, I've already contributed. I know that a few other people have said they have in the chat, and we see some people have. I want to see everybody give what you can, $10, $25, $100 matching my donation that I already made. I put even into the chat, the little thank you message I already got back. So let's raise some money here, folks. I have an old, not too old. I still do it actually for some of the shows on KPFK radio, public radio background. I don't usually do this on these calls, but I can do Carnival Barker pitching. I can go toe to toe with anybody, and you're going to hear that from me right now, because this is something I truly believe in. Okay. And not only that, there is look, David Hogg and all that he pushed out around the necessity of new young voices in the Democratic Party. We at PDA feel that that's not in and of itself wrong-headed, but they have to be progressive young members of the Democratic Party. And here we have a candidate who could really be leading one of the highest profile efforts to remake what American politics are in the 21st century. And we are so proud to have him announce his candidacy on our PDA national call. Please give what you can right now. And again, I'm sure the link is in the chat and available in the chat. And I apologize, because the candidate's time is tight, he probably won't have time to take questions today, but we'll get him back in the next few weeks where we make sure that everybody on the call, and Nola and everybody who's put their hands up, we apologize, but you'll have an opportunity to speak to Hartzell in the next few weeks. Hanya, how you doing?
Fantastic. My God, it's always good to be in community with you in the same space. Hartzell, you can get off now, get on call time.
Because I don't want to.
Well, let's give him one final word. Let's give him one final word, maybe then, if he has to go.
Oh, yeah. Again, thank you all for everything. Again, I mean, Donna, you made a really good point that I don't want to be a throwaway, is that, too many folks in this space, maybe even the person I'm running against, you can lose yourself in this. For in a lot of ways, you can say that my representative hasn't not kept a promise. Well, that's because he hasn't made any, and he hasn't had to. And I think that is the issue, because he should have. Because every day we should be promising to make our folks' lives better. And so that's why I'm running, to make our lives better, because I want to make my life better too. I'm about to get married. Life is life, and we all deserve the best. So that's why I'm running. And not only do we deserve the best, the most, we can take care of that ourselves, because we got us. So I love and I appreciate you. And I thank you all. Thank you very much.
Love you, Hartzell. Thank you. We are so honored. Thank you. And Hartzell, as we knew, had to go, but Hanya and I are still here. And for the next 5 minutes, we want to see everybody just click on that link to donate and make a donation. Every cent that you give is going to go into what we feel will be one of the most vibrant and powerful political expressions over the next year. And it's going to hopefully be a campaign that will, just like the Zohran Mamdani campaign, help transform American politics and the American political national dialogue. This is Kansas City, right? You couldn't be more central to the United States than Kansas City, Missouri. I think in terms of population center, it's like just the major metropolitan area that the population center of the United States is, I think, is closest to Kansas City, Missouri. And of course, geographically, it's very central too. And so this is not just, for New York and Los Angeles and San Francisco and, places like Austin. This is Kansas City, Missouri, bringing this kind of politics, the politics that the people of America want, with a great communicator as a candidate and just an absolutely vibrant and magnetic personality. This is a great opportunity. Give what you can right now on the link in the chat. Hanya, your thoughts.
Thank you so much, Alan, and the PDA family. It is always a deep, deep pleasure and great pleasure to be in community with you. This is family to many of us. This is an organization behind candidates. This is a place where we shift and shape policy. And I'm so always honored to be in the presence of Alan, Donna, Mike, both Mikes, and everyone else, Dorothy, Jim, you guys, and you ladies and gentlemen help make this world a better place at a time where so many people feel so lonely, right? I do want to start with a quote that has been kind of in my head, Alan, from Warsanshire, that says, you have to understand that no one puts their children in a boat unless the water is safer than the land.
Mm-hmm.
We're in a moment where millions of people are choosing survival over silence. We're in a moment where folks are walking out of schools, marching in the streets, organizing rent strikes, raising their voices, and very much refusing to be invisible. They're not doing it because it's easy. They're doing it because the water, the injustice, the inequality, the violence is rising, and staying still is no longer an option. So I say this because just by hearing Hartzell talk about his policies, talking about his vision for a district that is suffering from low wages, high cost of rent, folks are going to bed hungry, and we are living, mind you, in the wealthiest nation in the world, but folks are losing their medical insurance. They're underinsured and uninsured, right? We have a candidate who is young with a vision, who is not just going to promise something, but he is going to deliver on that promise. And this is why this campaign is so incredibly important. It's not because, you have someone else running as a progressive. No, we're about policy here. We're not about just running as a campaign. We're about changing the script, right? And much love to Cleaver for holding that seat for 20 years. But my brother, for far too long, you have not delivered on the promises that you've made. So it is time for us to choose a progressive candidate who is unapologetically talking about issues that can make an American's life better, the working class lives better. You can step aside and allow for a better vision for this district, because Kansas City does deserve it. Right. And I do want to share a little bit about the campaign with you all. I do want to share a little bit about the structure of the campaign. Look, I've had the honor and the pleasure of working with Representative Cori Bush during her last campaign. And that's how I met Adrastos da Silva, who's the campaign manager for her. Right. And he was the one who managed her field and led her to her victory the second time and the first time, she ran. And he is going to be managing this campaign. And so we are surrounded by people who have worked for Senator Nina Turner, for Representative Cori Bush. I myself am going to be acting as the general consultant on the campaign. So you all have access to me. Just know that because we were raised in the PDA family, we are going to carry the PDA message throughout the campaign. This organization to us, and when I tell you all of you, how many of you are here right now? I can't see the numbers, Alan.
329.
329 on a Sunday, right? First of all, give yourselves a lot of kudos for being here every single week, 300 plus of you, right? But I just do want to say this to you. We have had so many organizations, and we're talking about organizations like Justice Democrats, David Hogg's new organization. I had a conversation with Representative Cori Bush, who's excited about talking to Hartzell and seeing, about supporting his campaign. PDA comes first for us. I just want to put that on the record, right? All of us come from PDA. Therefore, we hold you very close to our hearts. Every penny that you give to this campaign will help us get to Congress one step closer. We have had already, and I'm not going to share more than what I'm going to do now. We have had already lobbyist groups reach out to me personally, wanting to have a conversation with Hartzell. No, thank you. No, thank you. Our promise is going to be to the district, to the American working class people, to the poor, not to foreign lobbies, not to pharmaceutical organizations. We're not going to make any promises to realtors and developers. Every penny that you give to us, because it comes from a grassroots movement, means the world to us, and it helps us get closer to Congress. We're already knowing that we're going to be hit by probably a lot of lobbyist groups, and there's going to be a lot of money pouring into whoever is going to be challenging Hartzell, whether it's going to be a new Democrat that they're going to put up against Hartzell, whether it's going to be Cleaver himself. We just need the support. And many of you have worked on congressional campaigns before, do understand that for us to be able to get on television, have ads, make sure that we have a strong team behind Hartzell, it takes money, right? So you'll be hearing from me about fundraisers. If Dorothy's on this call right now, she knows she's going to get a call soon. Alan knows already,
Oh, I'm ready. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Lord, this is the energy around this campaign is I've never seen anything like this, Alan.
Oh, he's amazing. Yeah. And I think that's the heart of it. You're great, and Adrastos is great too. And you guys have actually incredible goodwill that you accrued across this country among progressives. But Hartzell, when people meet Hartzell, the response is beautiful. But PDA is at the core of it. And thank you so much. I do have one note to add to everybody, in case you're wondering. No, Representative Cleaver is not a member of the Progressive Caucus. Okay, people do need to understand that. So he's not the worst voting member of Congress in the Democratic Party by any stretch, but he has stayed outside the Progressive Caucus. And so when this was something that was being bandied about, it was very easy for us to really embrace this. We are, of course, even with some there's some pretty weak members of the Progressive Caucus. There are people who are in both caucuses, the New Democrat and Progressive Caucus. We probably wouldn't be shy about supporting an endorsement for somebody who's in both. But when they're not at all in the Progressive Caucus, we have no qualms about it. And so this is a real easy campaign for us to embrace on all fronts. And of course, Cleaver's voting record and his points of emphasis are reflective of someone who's not a member of the Progressive Caucus.
And just to kind of add to piggyback off of what you just said, Alan, the Heritage Foundation named Cleaver as the good Democrat to work with.
Oh boy. Sorry, I hadn't heard that one. That's right now.
That says a lot about a candidate. So and a member of Congress, and it's high times that we do challenge a lot of these incumbents who've been very comfortably sitting collecting paychecks off the backs of working class Americans. I always say this, Alan, before my father brought me to the US, he painted such an incredible picture of this country. He was more of a patriot than I could ever be. Like he loved this country, and he was a man who was raised in Iran, went to school here. I'm looking for that America, and I still haven't found it.
Well, it's here at PDA.
It's here in PDA.
Right.
It's with this organization. It's with our allies at Roots Action. It's with World Beyond War. But it's also in the heart of young progressives who are fighting unapologetically so hard to make this country better for the next generation, for my son, right? I always tell Hartzell, I say, my son, I see a lot of Rumi in Hartzell.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Right. I told him this the first time we had a conversation. I said, I want you to win because I want you to be that example for my son to one day say, hey, I can do this too.
Oh, I think we have that I think we potentially everybody have that for millions of people around the country. There are, of course, some exceptional, as I just name checked a few minutes ago, young members of Congress. But Hartzell, look, with his background, and look, let's also point out something about Hartzell that's true too. Look, some of us, oftentimes, since we have this on Sunday, we bounce up against sports events, right? And the progressive left can be sometimes berated for not having people who participate in popular activities like being sports fans. Well, this is a person who is just so in line with the best parts of American popular culture, including being an avid sports fan. He can really communicate with people who for other progressives might be harder to reach. This is a transformative politician and a transformative campaign. So we should again emphasize. Again, I have to go back to carnival barking mode, and then we'll turn off to Mike Fox in about 3 or 4 minutes. So look, it doesn't take more than just a couple minutes to go and click on this link right now, and let me get this right to the right place here at the bottom, or at the top of the queue here in the chat, and everybody can just click on the link that I'm putting in right now and add what they can. Again, I'm hoping people will match the $100 that I donated today, and we want to raise a few $1,000s for both of the two things that are, the donation will be split between PDA and the Hartzell Gray campaign for Congress. This again is a historic day for PDA, where we had a great congressional candidate announce his candidacy. Tomorrow, the press release is going out, right, which has a nice and very eloquent quote from one Alan Minsky. I hope it's seen as eloquent. And it announces PDA's endorsement of Hartzell Gray, but it's the announcement about the candidacy. So the public announcement is actually happening tomorrow. So this is the public announcement of the whole campaign. Right. And so, I think people recognize how tight the whole operation is with PDA. Please give what you can, and as you split the donation, we will be putting more than is collected today, and much, much, much more in terms of resources and treasure into the Hartzell Gray campaign. It is instantly a top priority for PDA. And please, right now, give what you can. And a final thought, Hanya, to just drive home. Again, this is the thing. While Hanya and I are saying, and we're rattling the tin cup, there also has to be some me just prattling on moments. This is how you raise money on public radio, is you sort of prattle on in a way in which you're not saying anything that anybody really is worried about missing the point of eloquence I'm about to make. No, this is the moment where you give money right now for the next 45 seconds. It only takes 45 seconds. And then you come back, and all of the wisdom that Hanya is about to put forth about the world and the campaign, you will not miss. But keep giving for the next 2 minutes, folks, and we'll go over to Mike Fox. But your final thoughts, Hanya Joda.
Oh, too many, and I thank you for that. Too many people are suffering. We're living in a world where children are literally getting shot at while waiting to get food to feed their families. We're talking about 7, 8-year-olds in Gaza. That's what's happening. And it's happening because our country is beholden to a foreign lobby. And seldom you see candidates with the heart and passion and the guts to fight that, to stand up against it unapologetically and say enough is enough. Because as the very one and only Senator Nina Turner always says, what happens over there happens here, what happens here happens over there. Our tax dollars should not be spent on bombs to kill children. What needs to happen is our tax dollars need to be invested back home. And Hartzell is that one candidate who can deliver that in Congress. He might just be one vote, but him next to Rashida, next to Summer, next to so many different progressives adds up, right? I promise you, this is a grassroots campaign. We're not taking money from any foreign lobby. We're not going to be taking money from any money from any pharmaceutical companies, any gas or oil. Everything you give, or the way we raise is going to be just through grassroots, right? So every penny that you give counts so much. And what we need to do as management is we need to be able to build a very strong team around Hartzell. So it helps us, once we have the financial strength, it helps us expand our team, right? And we need to be able to knock on every single door. We need to get a volunteer crew. We need to be able to feed those people. We need to be able to get these videos up on, on TV. We need to get commercials and ads on social media. So your money helps us significantly. And let me tell you, our policies are going to be flawless, Alan Minsky. We have some of the best policies, and we have 12, 13 of them right now. Our website is being built, right? We only have a selected few right now on the website, which I'll share with you. But if you take a look at the website again throughout the week, you're going to see more policies listed, and you're just going to have a blast looking at them. So, Alan, it's right now, what time? It's 11:09 in Spain. So, and I'm operating from food from early this morning. So if you're okay.
Oh, yes, no, God bless and love you, Hanya, and love the whole campaign. But folks, we need at least $900 more right now because look, we have still 295 people on the call. People can give $25, $50, match my $100 or a little bit more, or $10 or $5, whatever you can give. Give on the link right now that Mike Fox just put in the chat, and I'm about to put in again. So again, do that. And I'm so used to Carnival barking for KPFK, I almost give a phone number out. No, there's no phone number. There's only the link, but it takes a second to do it, folks. And I'm going to prattle on here for another minute, 60 seconds, and say, donate to Hartzell Gray's campaign. Split it with PDA, folks. That's the thing we need to do right now for the next minute. Let's raise this up above $4,000 for the hour. We really can do even better than that, folks. We really should be doing better than that. This is a great campaign with a great candidate. To have Hartzell Gray in Congress side by side with Delia Ramirez and Summer Lee. Yes. By the way, currently there is no male member of the squad. I think we will have a male member of the squad when Hartzell enters the Congress. Again, there's rumors that Cleaver is thinking of dropping out. And again, as I mentioned, Hartzell's high profile as a personality in Kansas City. This is going to be a competitive campaign. There's a very strong sense of people wanting to see change in the Democratic Party, and this is a clear example of the kind of change people want to see in the Democratic Party. Somebody who fearlessly will hold forward with a politics that supports the interests of working people, and as such really supports the interests of the vast majority of Missouri's 5th District, the overwhelming majority of Missouri's 5th District. So give right now, right there. And Hanya, thank you so much for joining us, and I will talk with you soon.
And Alan, do you mind if I share Adrastos and my email with the team?
Please.
Okay. All right, so I'm just going to go on mute. I love you, PDA, from the bottom of my heart. And Alan, you're something else.
The feeling is absolutely mutual, Hanya. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So much love. Bye-bye.
And thank you so much. And with that, Mike Fox, if you can come forward with our PDA to-dos, and I have about 47 more minutes on the call. We'll go to family time after I leave, but we have a whole another hour. We're going to talk about Gaza. We're going to talk about Epstein, the Epstein scandal. But Mike Fox, take over for me right now, and I'll be back in about 3 to 4 minutes, folks. Okay.
Okay, so my favorite part of the week, let's go with the thank yous. Number one, are we pumped? Yes, we are, because of what you are doing. Here we go. I want to thank the following people who have donated today. Fred, Nurse Judy, phone banker Aaron, multiple times, double dipping, Tina, Michelle, our state coordinator Stephen in Virginia, Kathleen, Hillary, as always in Florida. Thank you for your more than kind $100, sister. Anybody who can match or beat Hillary, I know she'd love to see somebody do that. And thank you, Lorna and Michael and Donald and Claire, Charles, John, Pat, Mila, Audra, Lorna, phone banker Mary double dipping, John, James, our chapter head out in Kansas. Thank you for your $100, brother. Jenny, Elias, Paul, Richard, thank you for your $100, sir. And Yvette and Sandy and Paul, Patricia for your $100. Thank you, Patricia. Coming out of what state? That's in Florida. Florida's nailing it here. My fellow Floridians, I'm going to have to jump on and toss my 100 in here. Thank you, fellow Floridians. Excuse me. And Jan and William W., thank you so much for your $100 out of Wisconsin. And Margaret and Dr. Sonneborn, as always, thank you for double dipping, brother, making calls and donating. Same true of Carlos, double dipping, phone team in the house. And Patricia and Mike T on the call with us here. And phone banker Ken out in Arizona. And Craig and Mary, Jamie, Susan twice, thank you. Maureen, Pat, Stacy, Rick, look at this long list. Phone banker Rick, double dipping, Cynthia, Cheryl, phone banker Tyler, double dipping again, Joanne, Becky, Maxine in Florida again, Margaret, thank you. And Corey, thank you for your more than kind $100. And Peggy, your more than kind $100. And oh, some guy named Minsky. Thank you, Alan. I gotta match you there, brother. I'm not in there yet. And Rick, phone banker out of Missouri, and Dorothy, as always. Thank you, Dorothy, for your more than kind $100. And oh my God, they're coming after you, Dorothy. Watch out. There's going to be a fundraiser. And Carol, thank you for your $100. And Kathleen, Richard, thank you for your $100. And Susie Shannon, who is not only standing strong for folks in the Poverty Council, but also tossing in $100. Thank you, sister. And Darwin, $100. Thank you so much. And Marciel and Donna, phone banker Marciel, my apologies. I forgot to give you the double dip there, Marciel. And Edie and Arby and David, thank you for your $100. And Lisa, thank you for your $100. And Elizabeth, and Dr. Sonneborn again, twice in one day. Thank you, brother. And Marguerite and Bill Y out in Arizona, phone banking and donating, double dipping. Thank you, Walden, Florida. And Jennifer, your 100 is greatly appreciated. Allison, Ruth, Quincy, phone banker Newland in the game, double dipping. Gilda, Neil, always in the game with us. Phone banker Peggy, thank you. Thank you for not only double dipping, but likewise a $100 donation. Thank you so much, Peggy. And Susan and Mary, phone banker Betsy, double dipping. Amy, Mary Ellen, who's not only phone banking, but monthly donation was committed to. And Cynthia and Michael, Dr. Sonneborn again, phone banker Jane, Donna, thanks, Donna. Monthly. And Aaron, again, phone banker in there twice. Dr. Bill and Dr. Deutsch. Double dipping Dr. Deutsch, as always. If something is happening, Dr. Deutsch is in. Thank you, brother, out of Pennsylvania. And Michael. And how cool is this? I got to go to a second page. I love it when that happens. Okay, and phone banker Michael out in Colorado, and Michaels, thank you, brother, and Nadine, and phone banker Mary again, and Lorna, and that does it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So we're still somewhere in the neighborhood of 675. I'll go back and double check that while Alan's carrying us during the second hour here. And while all this is going on, gang, thank you. Keep in mind, yeah, go ahead, Alan.
Wednesday. What's happening on Wednesday?
Bingo, that was just coming out of my mouth. Great minds. All right. Well, Wednesday, our congressional liaison group is re-upping, as it were. There'd been a little bit of downtime. We're now rebooting on this Wednesday, 9 o'clock Eastern. The link will go into the chat to sign up. If you want to do outreach to your local congressional office, please do join us on Wednesday, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific. If you don't see the link to sign up on Mobilize, hit us up at info@ YPDAmerica.org, and we'll make sure and get you that link, okay? Otherwise, we're about probably 675 at this point short. So pile on however you can, gang. And back to you, Alan. Yep. Back to you, Alan. Is Alan frozen?
Looks like it, Mike.
Perfect timing. Okay. Then all right. Candidly, I'm not prepared to take the next hour here. So
Me either, Mike. I'm here with you, Mike, but I don't know. I know William Walter was going to do some speaking, so
yeah, William, I know you
Yeah.
had some input for us on what has happened at the Democratic
absolutely.
that big Democratic convention, and then
Yeah.
likewise a little bit of input on the whole Epstein debacle, and we'll get Alan back in there.
Yeah, on the Young Dems too. You're going to do
Yep.
some reporting, William, right?
Yep. So I
Thank you, William.
spent last week in Philadelphia at the Young Democrats of America National Convention. And while it was really nice to be with so many like-minded individuals, what was really inspiring for me was how angry a lot of these young people were and how aggressive their rhetoric was. These young people aren't content with the status quo. They are militant. They want to see a Democratic Party that fights back against encroaching fascism, and they want to see unapologetic progressive policy implemented both at the local level, at the state level, and at the national level across their communities and across the country. One idea that was brought up to me over and over and over again by first-time delegates, of which there was quite a few, that you could look at that two ways. Either A, it's a good thing that so many new young people are getting involved for the first time, which is true, which is accurate. Or B, it's not good in the sense that a lot of the veteran organizers, a lot of the let's call them more experienced younger Democrats in the 30 to 35 range that have been doing this for years and years and years, no longer have interest in the organization and or don't find the organization to be a worthy endeavor. So I'm hoping it's the former rather than the latter. But of course, we won't know that until we have the opportunity to look back after a few months or a few years have passed. So a lot of these young people were frustrated that the Democratic Party at the national level was not really brought up at the Young Dems convention. They were working under the assumption that we were coming together as young people to essentially discuss why so many young people are apathetic to electoral politics or why so many young people have left the Democratic Party. That conversation didn't materialize, which was a little frustrating for me. Obviously, it's not my first convention, so I was aware that we were going to be focusing on Young Dems of America work, but I was very happy to hear so many young people share that sentiment, because at the end of the day, I talked to hundreds of young delegates from, I believe 38 states were represented there. Don't quote me on that. And one common theme that kept coming up was that young people want unapologetic progressive policy. Bernie Sanders, of course, was discussed ad nauseum in a good way. Zoran was the topic of conversation with dozens of different young delegates that were at the convention. In fact, a resolution was put forth to offer Young Dems of America's full and total support to Zoran. He might have been the most popular individual at the entire convention, despite not being there in person. And I was really, really inspired by how many young people expressed the same concerns that I am seeing here in Wisconsin and that we are sharing on the PDA call every week, because it reminds me that our policies aren't only popular, but our policies are supported by the majority of not just Democrats, but I think Americans. And if we are able to, we know we are right and we know we are on the right side of history. We just need to execute on the organizing aspect of this. And I know that there's no entity in this country that's better prepared or has stronger infrastructure to do so than Progressive Democrats of America, which is why obviously I'm so excited to be continuing to work with all of you. And I'll transition that then into the second point that I wanted to make, coming from the famous Red Wall of Wisconsin, the Wild Counties in Wisconsin. Jeffrey Epstein has been a very contentious issue, let's call it. It shouldn't be, because I think the vast majority of Americans would agree that we should not be protecting wealthy pedophiles. But of course, Donald Trump's position as both the president and as Jeffrey Epstein himself's best friend. I was working the Washington County Fair last night. This is a ruby red community. I was volunteering at the Dem booth, and dozens of individuals stopped by to talk about politics. And of course, Epstein came up frequently. I don't want to get too excited, or I don't want to, think this is more common than it might be, speaking exclusively by anecdotal evidence at a county fair. But quite a few conservative individuals expressed an immense amount of concern with Donald Trump's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein situation. And I don't want to call it maybe a crack in the armor, but it was clear to me that a lot of these individuals have drawn a line in the sand, and they feel like they have been lied to. Donald Trump ran his entire 2024 campaign on releasing the Epstein files, exposing these powerful pedophiles at the highest level of American society. And of course, as soon as he got elected, now he's turning around and saying, don't talk about it. I don't care about the Epstein files. Move on. It's not important. Quite a few conservative influencers and media figures were not happy with that response. Now, a few of them have of course, flip-flopped like a pancake after Donald Trump called them to complain. But we're seeing in popular culture, the famous South Park episode that came out this week already. Such an irrelevant show, according to the White House, that the creators of South Park were just paid $1.5 billion for exclusive streaming rights, and that the literal White House was making a statement about the show the night their new episode aired, calling the show irrelevant. Of course, the irony is palpable. I think that this issue itself feels like it might kind of be a defining moment that might start to turn conservative public narrative and or MAGA public narrative against Trump and the Trump administration, particularly when he inevitably decides to pardon Maxwell after she puts forth a Trump-approved list of all of Donald Trump's personal enemies, scrubbing him, of course, from any responsibility. And if we are able to properly jump on this narrative and capture this moment and message it accordingly, in conjunction with the pressure we're putting on the Democratic Party, this feels like a really great opportunity to bring millions of Americans into the progressive fold. And when we do, PDA is going to be ready to help advance those causes. So those are the 2 points that I wanted to bring up based on conversations that I've had in the past week, and let's keep the fight going. I'm so excited to be working with all of you.
Hey everybody,
Alan,
I'm back. I'm back, but if you can maybe make me a co-host so I can unmute, I can put my video on. That would be great.
You're co-hosted.
Not yet.
Well, I tried to co-host you.
No, I got asked to unmute. I apologize to everybody. I think I might need an upgrade on my computer. It's not just a matter of, I like to blame the corporate spectrum monopoly on my local, Wi-Fi services. But here we go. I think you should be able to see me now. And yes, hello everybody. And I'll steady this. So this is now me from my phone. Thanks to German state-owned T-Mobile. By the way, if people don't know that, Germany gets around the way that the competitive laws of the free trade regiment of the past few decades, they get around actually having a German state-owned company be one of the major competitors in global services, is by having the German central bank own a third of it and the German state own another third. So that's T-Mobile. That's the service I have, which is a legacy thing from back when I worked at the radio station. And so I'm joining you from there. William, thank you. I don't want to lose focus, though. I want to bring forward Dan O'Neill in a second to talk about Gaza. But let me say this about Gaza, and then I'll start with Epstein, then go to Gaza, and then bring Dan forward. First of all, can we open the chat for the whole audience? Staff members, I apologize. We should have done that once Hartzell left or at the top of the hour. And thank you, William, so much for filling in there. And, William Walter is a member of the YPDA steering committee. Just so people know, we do have a policy. It's legally a gray area, but it was a bit of a pun given Hartzell's last name, but that we at PDA do not maintain people in official positions or on staff when they're running for high office. And so Hartzell will be on a temporary leave, but he'll be still have the title of National Coordinator of YPDA, but currently on leave. And the YPDA steering committee, which includes William Walter, who just spoke, will choose a new interim national coordinator or temporary national coordinator while Hartzell is running for office. Okay, Epstein first. I love what William said. And I do think what he said is right, too. It's important for us to get our messaging right on this. And I apologize for not having it be a focal point of the last few weeks. A few people, nudged me about it, encouraged me not to just disregard the issue. I think it came up briefly on last week's call. Look, it is something that I myself have looked into over the years here and there. Obviously, it's a scandal, and I'm not immune to what seems to be a universal human sensibility to be, whether you're reading Gore Vidal's historical novels or whatever, scandal is obviously a subject of a million plays over the course of, global literature. It's a subject of great interest, backbone of many a Shakespeare tale, right? But people attract to this stuff. I, as the former program director at KPFK Radio, I had a very difficult relationship with people who would normally be seen as like conspiracy theorists, but from the left perspective, a left sort of perspective group of conspiracy theorists. And, for me, I tried to take all these kind of general subjects in turn, in terms of their journalistic, the honesty of the perspective that was being provided. Believe it or not, RFK Jr. was a KPFK programmer through a show. He was one of a show called Ring of Fire, in which he was one of the many hosts while I was program director, and I brought it on. And right after I brought him on, he did this turn of going against and started to rail on almost every episode in which he was the host against vaccines. And it was on in the afternoon once a week. And the phones started lighting up one week when it was on, and the Skeptic Society had organized their members to call in and complain about the idiotic anti-science conspiracy theory that he was spewing. So I actually took the show off, and the overnight host, Roy of Hollywood, picked it up and started running it. And I was like, that was okay as a compromise. Again, it was sort of sad because the other hosts were good progressive hosts, but RFK Jr. had gone the way I just described. So with Epstein, though, I don't think it's a made up, specious, anti-scientific, false conspiracy. It's real, of course, and you can go down the rabbit hole of these things, but which I sort of did a few times, so I know a good amount about it. For like a day, and they said, "Oh, I'm not going to do this anymore," so I'd stop paying attention to it. But I read up on it. There's a real there, including very, very significant questions about Epstein's relationship to international intelligence and American intelligence, which of course really exploded out into the open when he was given an insanely light sentence for child trafficking, in which he of course was very guilty of. And the reason that eventually was expressed by the guy Acosta, who was leading the charges against him in South Florida, was when he was nominated by Trump to be the Secretary of Labor, was he acknowledged that the reason he got the sentence effectively, that he got an almost non-sentence for Epstein for something usually you're when you have more than one or two charges of underage sex trafficking in the United States of America, you're in jail for minimum 20 years. I mean, in jail for minimum 20 years with a hard sentence, major highest end felony conviction. And so he's convicted of something that's incredibly a degraded charge. He goes into a country club type setting where he gets to leave every day and then is out in no time. And the reason was given that, well, we backed off because he is intelligence, basically intelligence community told him to back off. And and he's a higher pay grade, than Acosta is going to be, so to speak, right? This is above my level of authority. So there's a lot there, and of course now the whole relationship and friendship he had with Donald Trump has exploded into the present, and the contradictions of MAGA and the way it's pulling apart MAGA are profound. So how does the progressive left approach this? I think is a very important subject that we do need to tackle. I thought William framed it very, very well. And it's a live question for us to consider as an organization. And my particular take on it, and I think we can take questions and comments on this. Unfortunately, now I have to go in about 25 minutes. But, first of all, I think, of course, one thing we have to do, co-equal with everything else, is, again, respect the victims of these crimes and foreground the traumatic human abuse that occurred in all of these cases. And, the Me Too movement was a great thing. And of course, there's been a huge reactionary-led backlash with an unwillingness of the consultancy-led Democratic Party to have a backbone in standing up for not just women, but predominantly women who are abused in office spaces, the massive amounts of sex trafficking that occurs in the United States and around the world that, of course, needs to be combated in every way, shape, and form, all the way up into, by the way, of having, universal living wages for jobs, because if you had that readily available to the American population, I don't think there would be as many women working in the sex industry as there are currently. And of course, a lot of it, has an overlap with trafficking and exploitation. So support for all of the people who work as social workers in that territory is essential. But then getting back to Donald Trump and Epstein, the degree to which there is a there, and it looks like there's something of a there, and it could go, there are reports suggesting that Trump, again, I'm going to say this is with my professional journalism experience in mind, so as to not overstate it. There are claims of Donald Trump participating in sexual activity with underage women from the orbit of Jeffrey Epstein in the late 90s through to 2004, when he was close personal friends with Jeffrey Epstein. And he's in the Epstein files. We now know that from the Wall Street Journal articles, or at least we cite the Wall Street Journal articles to assert that this is out into the public. I think we have to always maintain an ethical stance with a mind towards highlighting concern for the victims, but to challenge the cover-up. Don't forget, it was the cover-up that took down President Nixon. There's a cover-up going down on now around this, including the potential effective buying off of Ghislaine Maxwell. So on all these fronts, I think we just need to approach it with the sort of highest ethical and moral standards. I mean, of course, there is this big money, power elite component of the whole Jeffrey Epstein story that also can be highlighted by the progressive left. And then lastly, look, yes, there are many people who either were Democratic Party donors or Democratic Party members who are also implicated in this, and we can't be false about that. So again, honesty, integrity, moral integrity, support for the victims, and highlighting how the progressive left, all that makes up the Epstein scandal, is, yes, the orbit of the power elite of the two major parties, but not in any way, shape, or form the one major political formation in the country they believe has the interests of not just the general public, but the tradition of democracy and a constitutional republic at our heart, and that's the progressive movement. So there's a lot for us to emphasize here and ways to approach it. I would just always, especially when speaking on behalf of PDA, make sure you're not saying anything untrue, don't over-exaggerate things, and try to keep with what's journalistically established and understood as fact. So that's my take on the Epstein scandal. Gaza. There's already been a lot said on this call, and I think it's hopefully everybody on the call, unless you're going to ascribe to conspiracy theories, okay? Anybody looking at this now, who is in a position where they can do something about it, or just as whenever the subject comes up, I think we're in a point where we have to challenge people to confirm what they are seeing with their eyes and ears and reading and what's going on in the world, with the understanding that what is happening in Gaza still would not be happening if the United States was not supporting Israel. And as such, supposedly in a democratic society, the people of the United States have an opportunity to speak out against this and to impact it and to make a change. Now, I understand that's a stretch with Donald Trump being president, in the way that even in our Constitution, the executive branch has tremendous power over foreign policy. But nonetheless, and as a self-identified Jewish American too, I do think the American Jewish community, though this is something really for Jews to really tackle amongst themselves, I certainly am committed to challenging the retrograde components of the American Jewish community who refuse to not only they refuse to see any shift in U.S. policy towards Israel, but are doubling down and confirming their support for the Netanyahu government and the actions of Israel. I think that this is something that can be very powerful if American Jews amongst ourselves can, those who know that this is now way beyond enough is enough, it has to stop. This is an unfolding human rights set of violations. They're of the most extreme manner. I know that there are a lot of American Jews who don't want to hear the word genocide be used, but come on, folks. You either are deluding yourself at this point, or it is clear as day that the Israeli government has constructed, with the running out of the United Nations from Gaza and the establishment of a privately contracted firm in coordination with the IDF that opens fire on the people who are trying to get food. There is effectively, and this is not anybody who opposes Israeli government should relish in any way, shape, or form. It's just a tragedy that has to be stopped. People have to stop dying. People have to be fed. But what is transpiring in front of us is a consciously constructed mass starvation of the people within Gaza. And we have to speak out against it with moral clarity and without hesitation. Thank you, Dan. With that, I call on Dan O'Neill, my brother in Arizona, and our national chapters coordinator, Dan.
So, Alan, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Yes, I can.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay, good. I just want to make sure. Yeah, I can hear you fine. Thank you. Thank you, Alan. I have to concur with everything you just said, and certainly some of the comments of Donna Smith and Hanya earlier are very poignant right now. It's so very difficult to deal with Gaza, to deal with Trump and Netanyahu. My wife, Isa, and I have coffee every morning with Amy Goodman, and it is more and more and more difficult every morning to see the images and hear what's going on. So the only answer is for us. I mean, I think PDA has to frame the whole thing that we absolutely need a permanent ceasefire and that we need free and safe flow of aid into Gaza, and that the IAF and Israeli troops should leave Gaza, and a international peacekeeping force should come in and help with all the things that need to be taken care of. But we PDA put out a national email just recently calling for a campaign called Block the Bombs, HR 3565. Everybody write that down, HR 3565. Maybe staff could put that link in the chat. It's a recent bill that came out of the House. Delia Ramirez from Chicago and Sarah Jacobs from down your way in San Diego, Alan, Mark Pocan, Pamela Jayapal, and 26 other Democrats have signed on to that. And we need more and more Democrats to sign on to that. So I would really call on everybody on this call, all 230 of us, to join, find out who the 26 Democrats that have signed on. And if your Democrats in your state have not signed on, we would certainly ask you to make sure you start some kind of a campaign. So here's what we're doing in Arizona. We have 2 Democrats in Arizona, Greg Stanton and Representative Ansari. And neither one of them are signed on, and both of them should be. So we're going to be going after them. We've got a letter, we got a coalition actually of groups with DSA, PDA, other organizations, both Palestinian and Arab constituency groups. And we're going to write a letter to both their campaigns. We're going to visit their office. We're going to bird dog them during the 6-month recess here in Arizona. And if it comes down to it, we'll be picketing their office until they sign on to HR 3565. And
just to clarify, Ansari was the candidate who defeated Raquel Tehran in her primary by 39 votes or 36 votes. I can't remember which.
That's right.
Who would not have been competitive with our friend Raquel Tehran and would have been a marvelous member of Congress. And Ansari, who spoke out against the bombing of Iran, does have a somewhat progressive voting record, but nonetheless would not have defeated our great champion of the working class in Arizona, Raquel Tehran, had she not received massive support from AIPAC.
Right. And Ansari, like you said, has been a big surprise so far. She's been doing some very interesting things that we, on immigration and other things that we support. So we think she may be able to move her a little bit. We're hoping.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Let's hope.
We don't have as much hope with Greg Stanton, basically, more.
Yeah.
He's on Foreign Relations Committee, and he's really dug in support of AIPAC. But we're going to put pressure on, because they're the only 2 Democrats we have. And I'm calling on and asking PDA and asking everybody on this call to find out who your representatives who have not signed on to go ahead and try to sign on to. So that's kind of like, I know we have, in the email that we sent out nationally, we asked people that an action item was to get your email, to sign on to get you and email your representative. Over 1,500 people did it. We were pretty excited about that, and that number is growing. So again, I don't know if we got it in the chat or not, but let's put it in there. Yes, go ahead.
Well, and I just want to let people know, and this is among all Democrats, not just progressives, but there has been a sea change, a massive sea change in the attitudes of Democratic Party voters, by the way, and Republican Party voters.
Yep.
But over into a massive majority among Democratic voters who are now supportive of Palestinian rights, and clearly the subtext there, oppose what's transpiring in Gaza. Among young people, something like above 80% to below 20%, and I believe in the 70s with the general population, maybe high 60s, because I can't remember exactly, but majority support among Democratic voters, all Democrats now, is against the actions of the state of Israel. And this was a poll done by CNN and announced by CNN recently. So you can get the exact numbers by checking that out. So
I did put that link in the chat, Alan. It's
great.
It's there. I hope it's really long, every action link there. But I think it takes us to where we want to go. So there you go. Thank you.
Well, hey, actually, Dan, I'm going to ask you to hold on here for a sec. We're going to have Q&A, and for people who will try to reach me over the next few days, I will try to get an email going out that says I'll be back in office on Thursday. I'll try to do that on my text as well. I've never achieved that on my texts and phone calls. Just so everybody knows on the call, I'll be out of office. I will be on the call Wednesday night, but effectively out of office until Thursday. And I do have to get ready to go for that. And we have only 10 minutes left for Q&A or comments, which I feel terrible about. I'm sorry for my connection dropping there. It took longer than usual to get back, which is why I'm on my handheld. But should we go to people who want to speak?
Yes, yeah.
I don't see the stack from my interface. being on this handheld. So if somebody can help me as to who should be voting.
I see Dorothy, John, and Mila.
Okay, go for it, Dorothy.
Okay, I've got to unmute people, so let's not turn this
I'm
into
unmuted.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So
Dorothy.
I don't even know where to start. First of all, I hope that maybe next week you will look into this crypto situation.
Sure, we're happy to. We look like we already have one person booked for next week, but we could do that in the second hour next week, maybe. But I know. Tell people what you're talking about.
So I mean, I want to make a comment on Gaza and on Epstein, but there are two bills that look like they're passing in Congress: the Genius bill, and then another one. Oh God, what's the name of it? Another bill that's even worse than the Genius bill, and they're going to totally legitimize crypto, and the country, the full faith and you know whatever of the U.S. government's going to be behind this, behind crypto, and if crypto goes belly up, the U.S. government, our treasury is going to have to back it up. That's what these bills are. So we need to be sure that we say something and try to stop them. I don't know if we can, but we need people on this call need to know what's going on. People in PDA need to know what's going on.
And Dorothy's correct, absolutely correct about this. This is a treacherous situation. There's possibilities of mitigating the bills in terms of what's in them before they pass, which is not necessarily a lost cause. And Dorothy's right, and maybe we should try to set up a guest for next week. That would be in the second hour. Thank you. Go ahead though to Gaza and Epstein. Yeah.
All right. So on Gaza, the LA County Democratic Party is going to be working. I'm working on a resolution for the Democratic Party in California, the Los Angeles Democratic Party, because I'm not on the e-board anymore, but this is going to be quicker. And our therefore is going to call on all our representatives to speak out against starvation in Gaza. That's what we're going to be asking, as you know, you did the whereas this is happening now. Therefore, and we're going to be calling on all of our representatives to speak out against Gaza, all the people who represent people in the Los Angeles County on every governmental level. On Epstein, this has been going, you know, the reason the maggots are so angry is because they have been told for 10 years now, starting with Pizzagate, that there's a huge cabal of mostly Democrats committing heinous crimes against young people, killing them, drinking their blood, never mind raping them, and that they're being protected by the elites. And it turns out that Trump is one of the people being protected by the elites. So they're now, you know, they don't know whether to shit or go blind. You know, they don't know. They've been totally deceived. They've been led down this rabbit hole, and they're angry. And hopefully they're going to stay angry. Progressives, you know, you kind of want to sit back and watch, but you do have to throw in a comment here or there. It's good that we're trying to get that Ro Khanna is working with that Republican to get the files released. We don't know what's going to happen with Ghislaine Maxwell. I would imagine she's going to be getting a pardon very shortly. But what are you going to do?
Hey,
that
Dorothy,
will not
thank you.
make the maggots happy.
Staying up for a second, because I know you may push back on what I'm about to say, but I want to encourage people to consider this for a moment. Yesterday, just a counterpoint to what the bigger point I want to make in a second. I went yesterday to a demonstration at the new Elon Musk drive-in Tesla fueling place. It was a fantastic demonstration against
I wish
Musk.
I would have known. I would have been there.
Oh, yeah, it was pretty fun. And, you know, it allowed me to, you know, voice some things, get a little, you know, some, you know, still peaceful, but, yeah, certainly peaceful, but exercising my free speech with some exclamation marks, let's say, right? Having said that, and you know, some of the people who were there were, not surprisingly, really right-wing people who I found very disturbing, who were, you know, while the demonstrations were going on, still going in and eating, and they'd go up to this little porch area and shout down at the demonstrators, and some of the people were shouting back and stuff. Okay, that's one event. This moment might be a good moment for progressives to also, you know, for even MAGA people throw out a lifeline to them. We are the people who are talking about a truly prosperous America for all the people. And in that, even there's entrepreneurial possibilities that could open up that are absolutely flatlined across American society right now, okay, because of the debt traps that people are living through and the economic distress they're living through. And that, we want to build a just society. You're looking at this injustice of the elites and this cabal of the elites around Epstein and the cabal around Trump, that we are the people who are the ones that we can build the society that we'll all be proud of here in our time right now. So just that thought. And Dorothy, as always, thank you. And unless you have a volley back on that, the idea of, using this opportunity to try to reopen up dialogue.
I always think we need to talk to everybody.
There you go. Way to go.
That's what I think.
Yeah, so, I agree. Who's up next? And you're Dan.
Well, I have John Seeley and Myla.
Okay, John Seeley, you're up.
I think, we should realize that AIPAC is not stupid, and we should learn from their tactics and respond in kind, which is to say, we should, like they did, identify a couple of vulnerable Netanyahu stooges among the Democratic congressmen or women and primary them. I mean, it's one thing to have 435 Congress people getting letters. It's another thing to focus on a place where we can, do a reverse Cory Bush and show that, the people are not on board with what's going on. So I hope we can look towards that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, and while he's not the worst on this in this way, I'm pretty confident Cleaver takes money from Democratic majority from Israel. So that pertains to Hartzell Gray. When people should look that up.
He did, however,
yeah.
Cleaver did actually support the progressive resolutions on Iran bombing, though.
Okay, yeah, so but that's very different than AIPAC and so on. And don't forget, defeating AIPAC wherever we can defeat AIPAC is good, and this would be a victory against AIPAC in this case. But thank you, John. Great point. And can we go to Myla before I go, and then maybe Dan and Mike can take over for me. Dan, Mike, Donna, William, whoever else is still here. But Myla, how you doing? I saw you the other night.
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. I just wanted to do my duty here to talk about how the Trump administration is weakening the already, in my opinion, lax safety oversight provided by the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. I just wanted to say that instead of maintaining or improving the Nuclear Regulatory Commission's regulatory program for carrying out their duty to protect public health and safety and the environment, the Trump administration has elevated production of nuclear energy over safety, installed DOGE overseers at the top of the agency to slash staffing levels, ordered arbitrary reductions in regulations. They've been seeking to raise the limits on human radiation exposure and have fired or forced into retirement some of the commission's strongest safety advocates and other experienced and safety conscious senior staff. So my time is up. I hope PDA can focus on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alan, you got muted.
Thank you. Yeah. You have to
I'm gonna
unmute.
run. Yeah, I'm gonna run now and
put a bow around it.
I will. So look, thank you everybody for joining us. Especially want to thank Hartzell Gray, Hanya Jodat, William Walter, Dan O'Neill, Donna Smith, Mike Fox, everybody who spoke as well, and everybody who contributed today is so fantastic. So, but especially to Hartzell Gray, I again encourage people to support Hartzell Gray's campaign going up. Sign up, volunteer with PDA, and I will be back next week for another PDA Town Hall. Stay tuned for family time. Bye, everybody. Solidarity.